And we're live, I think. Welcome to the sprint review. This was an awesome sprint to kick off the year. We made a lot of progress, and we're just going to dive right into it. Share some screens. So the first thing is, and maybe you already saw it, we'll see if we actually add it to this video, but we have a new intro logo. A nice solid international vibe there. We have also, I want to show off the budget that we do every other sprint. We have a budget call or a budget rehash, and from December 10th, we actually have raised an extra $37,000. So that's really nice for our budget. We had expenses of $30,500 last month in December, and we received 14,400 in donations from Gitcoin mostly. Thank you, Gitcoin helpers. 4,000 of that was donations, about 10,000 was the matching, so major props to Gitcoin for that. But the big winner, of course, is the crypto market has been very friendly to us. So luckily we have a lot of Ether sitting in our coffers, and that was a good decision. Yeah, here's the general, like, where all the money is. Right now we're farming on decentral games, if you want to know, the safe place that we choose to farm. And we will run out of money on June 6th. So that extends our runway about 2 months. So that's really great. Also in other news, there is some major progress on the Commons Simulator. It's been released to the Trusted Seed. It's a really fun game that illustrates the power of token engineering and design, and shows really what the Commons Stack is trying to do, which is enable you, normal people, to actually design your own economies around public goods. So I'll just kind of cruise through this very fun intro, where it's basically talking about how CAD is a time machine that allows you to go from the dystopian future that exists where people did not care about public goods enough and save the world. So you come in here, and you you actually find yourself embodying Nick, who is working with Tamara actually on a project right now that she'll talk about. And Nick, you find yourself as a person from the future that you're going to go to a radical exchange meetup, and you deduce that your mission must be to create an economy around bringing radical exchange meetups to the world, so that people can understand the power of designing economies around public goods. So you have to pick some parameters. I'm going to pick really small parameters so that CAD runs really fast, because this is effectively a front end for CAD. So it's pretty cool. Probably the coolest front end for CAD that's ever been built. I don't know, Jeff, is that true? You would know better than me. Yeah, nice.
Hands down.
Yeah, oh, that's great news. So yeah, this is like, how long does voting and conviction voting take? There's and then of course, like the exit tribute, how much do you tax the users that come out, that leave the economy? And then let's run the simulation. And this is actually running CAD in the background. So it might take a second because there's a lot going on in this simulation. It's an actual simulation of an augmented bonding curve attached to conviction voting. And there are a lot of parameters in the back that we also choose for the user, mostly focused in the augmented bonding curve. And the dream is that we will have a second level that will then show people how they would, and teach people about the parameters that are most important in the bonding curve. Ah, there they are. So now the user has to look at this economy and decide from these graphs, is this a successful economy? It's kind of like you as the user just have a CAD and no one else can see it. It's holographically embedded to your arm. And CAD gives you the future, which is these results of your economy. And now the user has to look at these graphs and be like, oh my God, is this good or bad? Well, token price ended up going up after 36 months. That's probably a good sign. Yeah, let's see it. Let's see our future. Oh, I got a high score. Oh, utopian paradise. How great is that? And if you get a bad score, it's not as pretty. Let's just put it that way. So, yep. So that's and that project, we're actually just doing the last round to release it to you. It should be out this next sprint, so that the common stack can help us make some issues around it and make it better. The other big application that we're putting out that all of you will probably end up touching is the Swiss membership DApp. This is the first DApp that I know of, at least, that will actually make you a legal member of a Swiss association. So we have it set to the right terms this sprint, and you actually end up cryptographically signing with MetaMask, the IPFS hash. I don't know, you probably can't see my MetaMask, but it's there, I promise. So you sign the terms, and these are fresh terms that were updated in the last round. And then it's supposed to work. Oh yeah, that's right. I need to be on the develop branch because we haven't pushed live yet. So there's a few, here we go. So there's a few messages here, and yeah, so you can see I'm already, anyway, membership DApp is making huge progress. It should get done this sprint. And that's the show. So I'll pass it to Tamara.
Hey, cool. So first, happy 2021. We're all glad that we were putting 2020 behind us. And I can share that we had a great start to this year, as you've just seen by some of the work that Griff has shown, and some of the things that everyone else will show too. So I'm going to show something that's really special for the other policy process wonks out there. Just give me a minute to share my screen. We just finished our first sprint of this year, which was sprint 6. And this is just the clean board, ready for the next sprint. So we'll be doing our sprint planning for sprint 7 on Monday. It always, it's like a clean desk or a clean bedroom or a clean kitchen. When you see the sprint board clean like this, you just have a good feeling in your heart. So our sprint goal for sprint 6 was the trusted seed. That's a lot of you guys watching this. And with focus on the trusted seed, to sort of align with that narrative, we are doing something to make sure that we can properly thank a lot of the people, all of the people who joined the Swiss Association. And we are setting up a little bit of a swag store. It's a preview, so it's not what the final store will look like, and it's not the products the final store will have, but it is running on a decentralized protocol called Origin. And it has tied to a backend from a fulfillment center called Printful, which has an extensive product catalog available to us to work with. And the good news is you can use different tokens. So you can actually purchase things with crypto on this platform, which is commonstack.ogn.app. But even better than that, so that you don't have to, we have just minted a new token called CSLOVE. And it is to say thank you to the people who joined the Swiss Association. We will be dropping you some love and some tokens in your Ethernet addresses. So, yep, the trusted seed is still on our mind, and I think we did a lot for it. I think we kept our focus well on trusted seed this sprint. And I am going to pass it to Chris.
Right, so I don't have a whole lot to show this time, but I'll just kind of go over some of the cool stuff that I have cooking up that hopefully everyone in here will that's watching this will be able to engage with in the near future. So I've been working on the Discord server. It's coming together. We've kind of done a bit of a soft launch, having the team members in and just gathering kind of some final feedback to improve the structure and the flow of the Discord server. And we hope to expand it to the larger community in the next sprint. So hopefully we'll see you in there soon. So watch for the invite link. And I'm also working on several bot integrations into that server to give it some additional functionality for all of our members. Working on some website updates as well. They're coming soon. We're gathering wider feedback to engage in a larger overhaul of several of the sections on the website. We'll be integrating, for example, the team store that Tam just shared. I'm also working on migrating our Mailchimp data to HubSpot, as well as the integrations between all of our platforms using Zapier. We've also rescheduled the weekly Common Stack communications call, and we'd love to have any of our Common Stack Trusted Seed members join. We'd love to get you guys more engaged in our process, especially if you have content that you'd like to share or like us to share. And yeah, so that reoccurring call is happening from 12 to 1 PST or 9 to 10 p.m. CET. And I should actually check. I think it's on Tuesdays, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Tuesdays at that time. 12 to 1 PST or 9 to 10 p.m. CET. So if you feel like you have some comm skills or you have some feedback you'd like to give us in that area, definitely join us, and we'll get you up to date on what we're working on, and definitely take your feedback into account. And lastly, I've also joined the Common Stack Association board as a board member. So I am now in good company with both Jeff and Coach B on the board. And I've now been assigned tokens that allow me to mint and burn CStack tokens on through our Ergon DAO, and vote on the proposals to move things forward. So if anyone has any governance needs from the association board, please let me or Jeff know, and we can take stuff forward. And with that, that's pretty much the summary for me. I'll pass it to Dan.
I had no idea what's next. All right, this is going to be very meta because it's basically a draft that's coming together. But this, you can see a lot of the strategy around the trusted seed and what I love to call the community member journey is going to be reflected here, and just going through the motions of this during next sprint with the team to some degree, and ideally opening up to the community so we can actually identify where we want to see value emerge in the community and how we share purpose around these topics. So this is an Octalysis strategy dashboard. It is mainly used for gamification purposes. It can certainly be used for evil, let's say. So, for massive engagement in social media, but we want to use it transparently, openly, for good, with everybody involved. So that's the logic. Then having some conversations around that, it's about incentives, motivation, purpose, share purpose. So basically you go through the motions of defining the goals in terms of the strategy, which we are going back and forth on that a little bit. Then you define the logic of let's say the players, in this case the community members that come into the system. And here is a draft of an axis. So the axis allows you to prioritize who comes into the system, and this one takes in account, I tried to put it actually on a Miro board, so maybe I can show this, but basically this is taking into account that some people approach us from the perspective of they want to do good, they don't have time, but they have funds that they want to put into the system, or maybe they do have time, and some of these actors are more purpose driven and some are more yield driven. So we can identify and actually select who gets prioritized in the system. And some of the people that are yield driven, I mean, it's okay to want to make money, and it's all right, but we need to channel those intentions for good because these are systems that are supposed to be circular, are supposed to be evergreen. So the logic is not to extract good. So basically we are all right with having these conversations with these kinds of people, but they must understand that this is not the logic of the system. So here you can see a very not definitive draft of that. And going back into this, there is another prioritization down here around the logic of token engineering knowledge is not fully prepared yet. And then we go a little bit into what are the desired actions in every step of the journey. So when people discover the Commons stack and they onboard into the system, the everyday motions of interacting with the Commons stack as a member of the trusted seat, and then when you get to the end game, and it's like, okay, I've done everything. What else can I do? You know, do I become maybe a local ambassador and I don't know, open a Commons stack discussion group in Portuguese? I don't know. So what happens to the people that they feel that they've gone through everything? That is very interesting to think about in the system. There is a mapping of the feedback vehicles. So maybe you can think about this in the logic of the media channels that we have. Feedback mechanics. So the logic down here is like, for example, is the praise bot. That is a great example. So basically you get praise and you get a praise bot notification. So it becomes, it triggers an action down there. So there is a lot of things to go through in here, but the draft is all the way through to the moment of thinking about incentives and rewards, which is very, very important in any system. So basically, this is the SAPS model that you can see down here. This is the status, access, power, and stuff. Stuff, you know, it's not as important. I mean, it can be, we can of course give people swag, but it's more interesting to think about the status and the power in the relationships in the system. So yeah, some work to be done is around mapping the, let's say, the features and the things that will go into each of the moments in the journey. We already had a lot of discussion in terms of strategy around this. So basically, I'm going to put all that into these boxes and then have this more open conversation with the team for further brainstorm, and ideally open it up to the whole of the trusted state. So that's it for me. Oh, actually, we had, since the last sprint, we had 20 people apply to the trusted seat. That is beautiful. We already sent those emails. Some people reapplied. We extra love you guys. And some people actually propose collaborations, and those conversations are ongoing, which is great. And yeah, and we dish some tokens. So that happened. We need to communicate that better, but it will happen. It will happen. I promise. So without further ado, I'll pass it to, I don't know who's next, but I'll let it go. I'll let it flow. Oh.
Sure, I can jump in here. Absolutely. So let me just share my screen quickly. I'll keep my contribution brief because this sprint I only took on one task to complete, and it was a heck of a task. So this academic paper came about just about a year ago, and was submitted in the summer and went through 3 major edits from the reviewer team. So it was actually much more work than expected, but I'm told that actually a year timeline for academic publication is quick. So wonderful. Apparently we're on the ball with this. So this is the paper that is analyzing the larger kind of academic context of the Commons Stack toolkit. This paper was a co-authorship between the Commons Stack, the Commons Engine, which is Holochain's kind of commons-oriented group, EXA, the Economic Space Agency, and other groups like the P2P Foundation. Michelle Bowens was one of the lead authors as well. And he actually called this a landmark paper of applied commons technology. So really excited to get this out to our community. It definitely does have an academic bent, but there are some really interesting sections to explore. And one of those is actually, we talk a lot in the Commons Stack about Ostrom's design patterns for the commons. What I haven't seen as much exposure to is Ostrom's challenges. She actually wrote another piece about 6 challenges for the commons to scale to solve global problems, and that's one of the core areas that we basically address these challenges, and how DLT tools such as the Commons Stack, Commons Engine, and Economic Space Agency provide new agency for commons in addressing these challenges for scaling common solutions to global problems. So this should be out. Actually, she said the publication would be a pretty quick turnaround. There's also the possibility that it may get bundled into an ebook of other papers, one by Will Ruddock on community inclusion currencies, and some other commons papers as well. So yes, really interested to expand the kind of academic exposure of our work, because I think there's some really novel ideas here that kind of need further understanding and discussion in those circles as well. And that's my share for this week, but really excited to engage with more academics. Actually, one came through Dan just last week talking about institutional crypto economics and how the Common Stack is building tools for a better world. And I will pass it on to Livy.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll also share my screen. So also following from what Jeff was talking about, the Ostrom's principles and Ostrom's work, we've been diving into her book, Governing the Commons. We are entering the 5th chapter now. No, actually we are in the 2nd part of the 5th chapter. And it's been a great experience to discuss this, her work with people that are already involved in commons, that are participating in the TEC cultural build, and other commons, other DAOs that get interested about all the experience she has from very empirical applications, from observing so many common pool resources that worked over the years, some examples that didn't work, and how we can learn and apply all this knowledge into digital communities like the one we're building. So if you're interested, I think it's pretty easy to catch up in the conversation, even if you haven't read the chapter, and to listen people's opinions. And sometimes we get a little bit out of the book into the world, into our experiences with based on the reading of the week. So every Tuesday at 8 p.m. we gather on this server, the DAO Book Club. They are also reading other 2 books that are pretty interesting. So if you want to join, they're hosting us here. And we are also part of the Penvala Activity Fund. And every session we raffle 1,000 pen. So if you come, you read a book, you get a lot of knowledge, and you might also come out with some pen in your pocket. And the other thing I want to share is something amazing that has been developing for a while in the TEC, that it's almost ready for the world now. Juan Carlos, he's leading the Gravity Working Group. That is a conflict resolution, conflict management working group that came out of soft governance and of Ostrom's principles on how crucial it is for any community to have conflict resolution practices. So he's been doing an amazing job on creating this training. So we are offering this free conflict resolution training for everyone. So not only for Token Engineering Commons members, but for all the ecosystem. So I definitely recommend that you join. It's gonna have 8 classes, and they're all happening Thursdays at 9 p.m. CET. So I hope you can join, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I'll pass to Jess.
Thanks, Livia. Yeah, we are the TEC crew, mostly focused. I am looking to share, there we go, my screen as well. Just a couple of things. The main thing we're doing for the Common Stack community that could be really interesting is we are now open for accepting proposals for funding. So we've been, Dan and I have been doing a lot of work and contacting people who reach out to the Common Stack about the research and seeing if these projects need funding. And I basically spent some time. There was fantastic work done by TE Academy students actually, who went and interviewed all the stakeholders for Token Engineering Commons. And I summarized that a bit to look at what is a TE public good and what does the TEC want to fund. So if you have a really cool project you're working on that is something open source that you're going to share with the ecosystem, you can come and apply for funding. So if it's open source tools and research, education about token engineering, or any token engineering narratives and getting the word out about robust engineering and how important it is for validating our assumptions and looking at how we're building our token economies and also our communities. So that is something really interesting. And then just to announce as well that we have also opened up guest blogs. So if you have a project that you want to present, or if you have a thought leadership piece, please come and contact. We're happy to publish in the TEC Medium. Our first submission was from Sean Anderson. And it's very cool. If you want to know how a wampum belt could be considered the first distributed ledger, it's a really, really interesting thought piece on that. So check it out. And if you want to submit something. And then the final thing I wanted to mention that we haven't yet is a really cool initiative that I think the Common Stack Trusted Seed and anyone in our ecosystem could be interested in. It's basically free education. So anybody who is even beginner coders like me, can come and learn about Python and learn about the prerequisites to CAD modeling. So every Friday, he's hosting these different sessions, and he's also inviting you to come and teach about something and have a knowledge sharing time together. And so, yeah, very cool that people in the community are coming forward and offering this great value in hosting courses. So very cool stuff. And I will pass it back to Griff.
Yeah, well, that's the show. Thank you guys so much for checking in on us this sprint. We do this every 2 weeks to give you a review of the progress that has happened. And definitely look out for some good communications on when you can become a member of our Swiss Association and other really cool projects that are happening. Thanks, everyone.
Can't wait to get some CSLOVE.
Yeah.